Hi, I'm John Maxwell. When the top companies in the world are looking for trainers, speakers, and coaches, there's one name that stands above the rest, and that's Maxwell Leadership. Our certified team members have gotten proven results for companies all over the globe, and our reputation, I'm proud to say, is second to none. Some of our members have risen to the top of their profession, including the one you're going to meet today. I proudly introduce you to my friend Bob Fabian Zinka.
Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If you need to develop into a better leader, this podcast is for you. If you want to achieve a greater level of success, this podcast is for you. His mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell, said it best: everything rises and falls on leadership. We hope to inspire you today and provide you with an insight that has the potential to positively impact the trajectory of your life. Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast.
There's three things you got to do, three things that determine the quality of your life. Giving your life to God, who you marry, and finding your purpose.
Wow.
Okay, so giving your life to God, I'm going to leave that because people have different, religions. I respect that. Who you marry, OMG.
Wow.
I can't tell you how many women came to me and said, "You're such a great example. You're still married." I've been married 35 years. That's how I became GI, right? And we never called my mom. We never called his mom when I had to go on a deployment. Wow. You understand? He would be, "Oh, I got it. Don't worry. Go." Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm pretty anal. I would iron everything before I go. I'd pack, meal prep before.
Yes.
I was doing that before it was popular. And thanks to my girlfriend, Gail Colvin, who's at the Air Force Academy as the chief of staff, taught me that. We were pregnant together in command.
Wow.
But who you marry? This dude always says go. He doesn't say, "Why are you trying to do that? You're doing too much. Stop." He has always embraced me for being me.
Wow.
Because when he met me, I was sleeping on my sofa in my office because I was a workaholic. So he knew what he was getting into and he accepted that. So marry well. The last one is finding your purpose. Oh, yes. My God.
Purpose.
Because your purpose is greater than yourself, but it is your best self. Does that make sense?
Wow.
It's greater than yourself, but it's your best self. Let's go.
Yes. And having said that, you are a LinkedIn top voice for women veterans. Can you tell us a little bit about that process?
Well, I'm a LinkedIn voice for the military community, not just women veterans.
Yes.
I can't tell you anything about that process other than, I decided in 2019 that I was going to be active on LinkedIn. I had planned to transition, so I wanted to, get my name out there, because I'm known as GI for 35 years in the Air Force, but not necessarily publicly. So I then, I think I told you this story. I'll try to say it really quick. But one of my 4-star mentors, you know, I had my hat with all the stuff on my hat, and he said, "Oh, I don't think, you know, the things from my uniform, the picture on my LinkedIn profile," and he said, "I don't think that's in regulation." And I said, "It's probably not, sir." And he said, "You know, retirees should, you know, adhere to the regulation of how you should, you know, wear your uniform post military." And I said, "Yes, sir." And then he asked a colleague of mine to send me the regulation. And I said, "Oh, okay. I'm not trying to deface the uniform. I'm honoring it. I'm honoring my service." So I decided I was going to take a picture. The original picture was taken by Nick Nelson, brandpreneur, another guy to look up on LinkedIn. Amazing.
Yes. Can you tell us about your leadership journey to get started?
Sure. My mother would tell you first, before we even get started, I have to say Happy Women Veterans Day. For those of you who do not know, June 12th is Women Veterans Day. And I would be remiss if I did not stop, pause to celebrate all of the women who decided, made a decision, raised their hand to commit to country and service. Much like our male counterparts, this, you know, while we've served, the sacrifice is often a little bit different, right? We're asked to leave the children we birthed, right? Something that has been attached to our bodies. Our bodies, while our hearts and minds want to serve, our bodies oftentimes take it's more stressful, you know, on our back, on our neck, even infertility because of the stress of war, deployment, etc. So, you know, women veterans, in my opinion, and I've said this for years, are this nation's top secret weapon. You know, I call it disruptive blessings because if that young lady had not been disrespectful to me, I never would have walked next door. I never would have talked to Joe Spencer. I never would have, you know, asked him to, he offered to help me. And then, oh, by the way, this is just disruptive blessings because the place I chose, I had no idea that guy had worked for him in his prior job. And so it just talk about the alignment and the sequence of events that that's why I call it disruptive that put me in place. And I'll tell you, my record in the Air Force was exceptional.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving deep into some incredible leadership insights from Colonel Michelle G.I. Gardner-Ince, USAF, RETI. Her journey from a military child to a 27-year veteran, breaking barriers as one of only 45 black female colonels, really gives us plenty to chew on.
Absolutely, yeah. What struck me immediately is how her upbringing shaped her. Being raised by a trailblazer, her father, one of the first black U.S. Army Corps engineers, and her mother's leadership in the community. It's like her roots scream excellence, right?
Indeed, and it's interesting how her father used to say, "You can't put a blanket over sunshine," which really sums up her philosophy. Excellence is inevitable. When you're so great, you simply can't be ignored.
Yeah, and that isn't just a catchy phrase. It's a mantra that drove her entire career. I mean, let's talk numbers. Managing a $1.8 billion operation with over 7,300 personnel on her watch. That's no small feat.
Right, and think about her military journey, starting at Tuskegee University with ROTC, choosing the Air Force partly because it looked cleaner to a 17-year-old, which is a perfect example of how even small decisions can lead to enormous impacts.
Yeah, exactly. And while her achievement of making colonel is incredible, all within a career where less than 4% hit that rank, she also faced immense challenges, like systemic discrimination in predominantly male white environments. Only working for 2 women in 27 years really tells you something.
Yeah, it's not just numbers, it's the constant need to prove oneself. And she then transforms those setbacks into what she calls disruptive blessings. Moments that look like obstacles, but open doors. Remember the story where she was dealing with a disrespectful subordinate and an unsupportive boss, only to have a senior leader step in and give her the chance to move to Boston?
I do. That pivot is fascinating. But don't you think sometimes these blessings could be seen as just luck? Like maybe luck played a bigger role than sheer performance?
Well, she would argue that while luck may be a factor, it's her consistent excellence and readiness that allow those opportunities to be seized. In her eyes, being prepared means you convert adversity into advantage. Even disruptive blessings are about using your setbacks to fuel your rise.
That makes sense. I mean, evidence of that is her mentorship strategy too. She distinguishes between travel agents and tour guides. Travel agents give distant advice, but tour guides actually walk with you through the terrain.
Exactly. It's a powerful visual. She credits mentors like Colonel Larry Spencer, who didn't just advise her from afar, but actively helped her secure a deputy base commander role. That's a vivid example of deliberate mentorship in action.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's not just about career moves. She even speaks on how silent fans and unseen advocates play a role. Imagine years down the line, someone from your past remembers your integrity and excellence and comes forward to champion you.
Yes, that idea is so profound. The concept that consistent, excellent work builds invisible capital that later converts into significant opportunities. It really challenges the notion of immediate recognition. Her former boss, Colonel Pat Burns, showing up 29 years later saying hire her is a testament to that.
And aside from her military prowess, she's a champion for women veterans. She calls them the nation's top secret weapon. What do you make of that bold claim?
It's bold and, incredibly inspiring. Women veterans face unique challenges, and she's determined to reshape their narrative. Her goal to help 3,000 women become million-dollar business owners and even envision an all-female veteran contracting team landing a $10 billion contract is, well, ambitious. It's a call to arms for underrepresented leaders.
It sure is. Her emphasis on service is another key theme. She truly believes that service, even unpaid volunteer service, builds leadership muscles. Organizing the Tuskegee Airmen Convention for a decade, leading honor guard operations after tragedies, all of that isn't just duty, it's strategic leadership development.
Yeah, and that dovetails nicely into her personal life philosophy. She outlines 3 pillars for balancing life: giving your life to God, choosing your spouse wisely, and finding your purpose. That holistic approach anchors her tremendous professional achievements.
I find that really interesting, especially the emphasis on who you marry. In a demanding career like the military, having a partner who supports you, who holds down the fort at home, is so crucial. It's a
Right.
reminder that personal life isn't secondary. It forms the backbone of professional resilience.
Absolutely. And don't forget her upcoming book, Command Your Influence. It's being described as a field manual for government influencers, a guide for leaders navigating tough arenas like procurement and strategic alliances. I love how she's packaging decades of lessons into actionable strategies.
Yeah, and I think that book is set to be a game changer, especially for those transitioning from military roles into business or public service. It's all about turning your unique heritage and hard fought skills into influence.
And while she's building that, and even an ecosystem called GI, it really shows her evolution from a military leader to a mentor, author, entrepreneur, and ecosystem builder. Her journey is a vivid reminder that leadership is dynamic and ever changing.
Some might say her path wasn't linear, a mix of strategic moves, mentorship, and a dash of serendipity. But I'd argue it's precisely that mix that makes her story so relatable and instructive. However, I do wonder if leaning so hard on the excellence mantra risks overlooking, more collaborative, everyday aspects of leadership. What do you think?
Interesting point. I think she would respond that excellence isn't imposed superficially. It requires integrity, collaboration, and consistent service. It's not just about being the star, it's about lifting others as you rise. Her insistence on low tolerance for incompetence and lack of integrity is less about being harsh and more about ensuring that every leader, including herself, holds true to high standards. It's a balanced approach,
Yeah,
even if it might seem intense at first glance.
good point. And her journey really underscores that leadership is a lifelong process of learning and self improvement. She even mentioned how AI is teaching her new things about herself and her leadership style. Now that's forward thinking.
Right, integrating new technology to refine her framework for influence shows how she's not stuck in the past. It's like she's continuously evolving, always compounding her experience and knowledge.
And she leaves us with that powerful notion: lead yourself. That, for me, is the core of all great leadership advice. If you can master yourself, then you're set to influence others in any arena.
Exactly. Whether you're managing a $1.8 billion operation, mentoring others, or just leading your community, it all starts with internal excellence. And sometimes those disruptive blessings we face aren't setbacks, they're setups for a greater legacy.
Well said. It all circles back to being intentional, whether it's seeking the right mentors, tour guides, not just travel agents, or consistently showing up so that silent fans can in turn become vocal advocates.
So, as we wrap this up, the take home message is clear. Command your influence by leading yourself, serving with unwavering excellence, and never underestimating the power of mentorship and your personal ecosystem. And for anyone
Right.
out there, remember, the journey to greatness is paved with both challenges and those disruptive blessings.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining in this deep dive today. The legacy of Colonel Gardner Ince is not only one of incredible professional achievement, but also one of inspiring, purposeful leadership that continues to shine a light for others. Until next time, stay excellent.
Assistance, right? Sponsorship, if you will. And he said, so I came back and I said, hey, my husband then had, gotten out of the military, and I'm like, My husband is the nicest guy in the world. But BZ, if he's not working, he's not a nice guy. I got to keep that guy, happy, because he puts up with me, and that's a whole nother story. So, and he's always been my biggest supporter. Go baby, go. I got the kids. Go do you.
Wow.
So, when I got to make sure he's happy, because hey, I'm just saying. So I came back and I said, look, I want to go to Boston. I know they've got a position open there as the deputy base commander. And he goes, I don't know why you want to go to Boston. It's cold there. And he didn't say, I'll get back with you. He didn't say, go do 15 things. Immediately, he picked up the phone. He called the wing commander, who would be my boss, and said, hello, this is Larry O. I've got GI here. I hear you got a job open. She's going to wow you, and she's going to send you a package. And he hung up the phone, and he looked at me and said, don't embarrass me. BZ, that job got me to 06.
Wow.
I went there. I got the opportunity to sit in front of every 4-star in the entire Air Force talking about diversity. I got the opportunity to host every 4-star in the Air Force at an AFA convention, the first event where all 4 stars were assembled after 9/11, and it was flawless. I was in charge of over 80 volunteers that put that conference on. I mean, it was just an amazing time. I mean, and the last thing was, that I got an opportunity to lead the base's efforts through an operational inspection.
Wow.
And so all of those things, just because it wasn't that I wasn't good. I just didn't have I wasn't in front of the right people. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, how I got to sit in front of all the 4 stars was I was in charge of Black history for the base. And I was riding back in the car with the 4-star, escorting him and his aide to their DV quarters. And he said, GI, we really got to get this diversity thing right. That my children will carry on their own version of my legacy. Leadership.
Wow.
Leadership of themselves and leadership of their particular, their purpose, their gift to the world. I believe my father left a great legacy. I mean, my brother was a SES at 35. There's just the 2 of us. We are a high achieving family, right? And our conversations are rich. I would have more of those. I would try to probably film everything and say everything I hadn't said. And a lot of that after I love you, I love you, I love you, would be about my expectations of them for my great grandchildren.
Wow, that is powerful. So the 7th and last question is, what can we do to add value back to you? Thank you so much for making the time, for being here. So I had about 64,000 or so, first degree connection and followers, and then I guess if you had the secondary connection, up to 4 million people potentially could be listening to you on all major podcasts. So what can we do to give back to you?
You can share social capital, right? Social capital is, resharing my post, following me, inviting me to speak. I tell people I'm Black and I'm female, but I can talk about more than that.
Thank you for listening to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to our channels and come back for more wisdom nuggets on how you may develop into a better leader and achieve greater levels of success. Leadership is the most critical skill. The world will always need leaders to lead others, deploy the next disruptive technology, or execute a business strategy. You may as well decide on counting yourself among the 21st century leaders. See you right here next time on the Leadership and Success Podcast with Coach BZ.